This is something I hate to say, but the founder of your favorite project is probably planning on using you as exit liquidity. Let's face it, in most cases, they're not thinking about hodling those project tokens they gave themselves. They're not going to rely on the idea of an infinite future of reaping all those yields that they sold you on. Instead, the moment their lockup expires, those hot little coins are going to be burning a hole in their pocket, and they're going to rely on you to buy their tokens at what they hope will be the top of the market. Ready? Let's go. Today, we're going to discuss a suggestion about what 80% of crypto Twitter is actually doing, an interesting point about Cardano delegators, more information on subhandles, a new Cardano-based social media platform, and Reach 2.0. If this image immediately made you think of a more intentionally decorated version of the backrooms genre of videos, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Thank you so much to everyone who attended the live stream yesterday. It was kind of on short notice, but a bunch of people showed up and a bunch of people stayed on for what turned out to be the world's longest drinking Cardano podcast. I think we went for something like 8 hours and 23 minutes. Super long podcast, and a whole bunch of people were on even into the later hours of that thing. So I really appreciate everybody who jumped on and watched the live stream, especially all the comments. I wish we could have gotten to more of the comments. We kind of got carried away with discussing various Cardano things. So next time we'll try to get to more of the comments for sure. But of course, the purpose of that live stream was to rally votes for the MuesliSwap poll. And as you can see, we're still in third place, but just barely. We're almost slipping into fourth place now. The fourth place pool is sneaking up on us. There's only 1% separating us right now. So if you've got a second, if you haven't voted in this poll yet, I'm going to put a link to this page right here in the description box below this video you're watching right now. If you just scroll down a few inches, you're going to see the very first thing in the description box is going to be the link to this poll. If you could just click on it, come over here, it'll take you like 2 minutes to set up an account. Just choose a username, choose a password. It can be anything. Just choose, easy username, easy password. They're going to send you an email. You click on it to prove that's really your email address. And that's pretty much it. You can speed run that sign up process really quickly. It'll probably take 2 minutes total. Come on over here and vote for AOS. If we could create a little bit of distance between us and the fourth place pool, that would be fantastic. I would love it if we could maybe even get to 20%. That'd be fantastic. I know since we're only at 13% of this number of current votes, 1,488, that means a huge number of people who watch these videos definitely haven't voted in this poll. So if you haven't voted, this poll will end Tuesday morning in most North American time zones. So Tuesday morning in North America, this poll will be over. I would love it if we could get above 20%, just create a little distance between us and this pool in fourth place. So if you haven't voted, I would deeply appreciate it if you would come on over here and vote sometime either today, tonight, early tomorrow morning even. But if you've got a second and you like these videos, this would probably help us to make this channel a lot more sustainable than it is now. I'm starting to really hate it when Joseph DeLong is right about things. You remember Joseph DeLong, former Ethereum core developer at Consensus, former CTO of SushiSwap. I hate it when he's right about things because he's usually saying something like this. 80% of crypto Twitter is just professional retail dumpers trying to entertain their exit liquidity. I'm afraid he's right in a lot of cases. I don't know if it's really 80% because there are a lot of people in crypto Twitter who don't have projects. But if you wanted to abstract this away from projects only, you could say that pretty much everybody on crypto Twitter is talking about an ecosystem, at least, that they hold coins in. I think that's probably true. And of course, most people holding, even in an ecosystem like Cardano, most people holding those tokens, because we're a proof of stake ecosystem, you could say that there are people in our ecosystem who are planning on hodling forever, who just want to pick up those sweet, sweet delegation rewards, those sweet, sweet staking rewards. But there are also a lot of people who are definitely fantasizing all the time about selling in the next bull run. Certainly, this is not an illogical emotion, right? You get into crypto, maybe because you believe in the grander themes of economic inclusion and all of those kind of things we talk about all the time on this channel. But at the same time, most people love to fantasize about selling at the top of a bull run. So even as crypto consumers, I think we're doing the same thing a lot of founders of projects are doing. And I mean, we need to be realistic about this. I don't think we should blame the project founders for what Joseph DeLong is describing here, because we as consumers of crypto, we're thinking the same thing. We want to sell even ADA, even the ecosystem we love. We'd probably also love, all of us, to sell a little ADA at the top of the market. And that means if we were able to sell at the top of the market, that means somebody else is buying at the top of the market. So we too have these dreams of someone being our exit liquidity when we sell at the top of the market. I know a bunch of you are going to comment that you're never going to sell, you have no intention of ever selling. And I can understand that, but a lot of people are going to sell, and of course they'll want to sell at the top of the market. So I don't think we should blame the project founders for engaging this type of behavior, but I think you need to be aware of it. Projects, especially DeFi projects, but we can say this about all projects in some ways, they sell us on a dream of some kind of return, usually. Not all projects, but most of them are selling us on the dream of some kind of a return, some kind of yield, sometimes multiple yields. Sometimes they have narratives about many, many yields. And that's what brings us in a lot of cases. But those project founders, the reason they developed that project was because they were giving themselves a big chunk of the project tokens. The same ones they sold to you, they have a big chunk of those. And in most cases, it'd be great if there was a project and we could say, hey, the founders aren't going to sell because this project's so good. The yields are going to be so great. The returns are going to be so great. Of course, they're not going to sell. Why would they give up those yields? But in most cases, that's just not the case. They are going to sell. And all of the engagement they're doing on Twitter to entice you, to give you little tidbits of information about the latest development, this is what Joseph DeLong is describing here. They are entertaining the community because they need that community to be entertained right up till the point their lockups end. Right? They've all, in a lot of cases, they've signed some kind of an agreement or there's some kind of smart contract in place where they can't really get a hold of their coins until their lockup agreement ends. But the very existence of that agreement tells you that they are premeditating selling those tokens, using somebody as exit liquidity for those tokens. And it's going to be somebody in the community. The exact tokens they sell will be bought by somebody in the community. By definition, if we say that the definition of the community of a project are the people holding the tokens, you could say, you could come up with more expansive definitions, but definitely somebody holds tokens in an ecosystem. They're largely going to be thought of as part of the community. If they were planning on hodling forever and keeping those sweet, sweet yields, then it would be like a perpetual lockup, or the founders would be on record saying, we're never going to sell. We're never going to sell. We're going to keep them all forever. But you never hear that out of project founders. You never hear them say, we're going to keep them forever, because they're just like us. They're going to try to sell. And if they can, they're going to sell at the top of the market. And we can't really blame them for that, because that's what most of us are planning on doing too. It's a little bit different with Cardano because the delegation rewards are so good. So some people, maybe they are going to hang on to all of their ADA forever with no plans of selling. But I don't think we can be that optimistic about these projects. And it's kind of like a double... It's kind of like doubly concerning. It's doubly important that people understand this is going to happen, when you've got an element of Ponzi-nomics in a lot of these projects. The tokens exist so that people will use the platform, and people use the platform because the tokens exist. And then when you've got these lockups expiring, the founders are like out. And in a lot of cases, this leads to the use of the platform, because I think they all tell pretty good stories about the yields being so good. And the yields are always in, usually often in multiple ways connected to that token. But as soon as the price crashes on the token, the usage dries up as well, because of this Ponzi-nomics situation, people are using the platform to earn the token. That's the real reason they're using the platform. It's not because of the service provided by the platform. It's because the token has value. And the second the token no longer has value, and sometimes it is because all the lockup agreements end, and it's sort of like this race to access the exit liquidity before the exit liquidity rise up, which is what happens when people stop using the platform because the price of the token has crashed. And sometimes it crashes because of this race among not just the founders, but the early investors in the project and the smart money in the community, all of them also rushing to basically exit that little micro ecosystem while prices are high before it crashes. We've definitely seen this on the EVM side of the world. Use of a project suddenly dries up. Nobody wants to use the project because the tokens aren't valuable anymore. Again, I don't think we can blame the project founders for engaging this behavior, because this is what pretty much everybody does in markets of all type. But you need to be super aware that this is what is happening when you're consuming the information being fed to you on crypto Twitter, and you're in that segment who's thinking about hanging on to those project tokens for some extended period of time beyond the lockup agreements that the founders have in place. Here's a project that sort of reflects the other side of that coin. And that's the genre of projects that actually have an ongoing revenue model. The project itself has a real source of revenue, not measured in the project token. This is sort of the opposite of that Ponzi-nomics type model I just described. So with ADA handle, that ongoing revenue source, of course, is the sale of more handles, because they can keep selling handles pretty much indefinitely. They can just go ahead and keep selling those handles. So you don't run into the same problem where the project founders are, necessarily holding the project token and that being sort of the only source of revenue for the project founders. This is a very different situation. And here we can see not only do they have this ongoing source of revenue, but they're also providing more value for the current holders of their non-fungible tokens, the ADA handles. They say, with Catalyst Fund 9 voting well underway, we wanted to break down our subhandle feature a little more as we seek more support for your proposals. So we've seen a little information about subhandles, but there are some. This is a little more clear presentation of exactly how subhandles work, and especially the virtual subhandle piece of this. They say subhandles allow any root handle owner, whether it be a person, corporation, or organization, to issue nested subhandles. You already know how this part works. You can see if you had the handle 1DAO, you could issue one that says Tim at 1DAO, one that represents John at 1DAO, Charles at 1DAO, any arbitrary kind of names before the actual handle. So they say any root handle owner may issue as many subhandles as needed. The main prerogative is to enable handle owners to issue subhandles as cost efficiently as possible to either their wallets, family members, customers, and or users. That's another use case that I like. If you have a bunch of wallets, like I think a lot of us in Cardano do, it's sometimes hard to keep track of what all those wallets are, but you could just go ahead and do as this whale handle has done here. You could have one that says NFTs at whale, staking at whale, vault at whale, and that'd be a great way to keep track of your wallets. Then they get to the other type of subhandle. There are two types of subhandles that each come with their own specific use cases and functionality, and up to the root handle owner's discretion on which to use. So we've got these normal subhandles over here, and then we've got the virtual subhandles. So here's where it gets interesting. The first is the NFT subhandle. That's the normal one, of which works identical to the root handle, wherein the consumer of the issued NFT subhandle retains full ownership and rights to the subhandle. So if you made a subhandle and sent it to someone, they pretty much have full ownership of that forever. There's no way for you to get it back unless they voluntarily send it back to you. The second is the virtual subhandle, which allows the root handle owner to maintain ownership and rights to the handle, providing the necessary control over creation, edits, and revocation. So virtual subhandles minted as virtual can be assigned to the new address via a smart contract. It allows the issuer, the root handle owner, to keep control over the subhandle and retrieve it or reassign it to another address at any time. This is really interesting to me because this means you could assign someone a subhandle for a certain period of time and then retrieve it after that time period is up. You can imagine someone renting out a subhandle, or maybe, giving away a subhandle that, that would, give you certain privileges in a metaverse or something to some member of a community for a month. Like the winner of the following 10 subhandles, which will grant them access to some event in the metaverse, are the following community members for the month of December. And then January, you could have new ones, something like that. So this is really interesting. This virtual subhandle idea could allow you to rent out the handles or just grant them to someone for a limited period of time. I think this is a very interesting development. I'm loving the accounts of Laura and Suraj lately. They're the ones who run Just the Metrics. You can see down here, you'll remember we looked at some of their metrics previously. This one is very interesting. Suraj says, VCs and most of the crypto Twitter try their best not to talk about Cardano, but if you look at the raw metrics, Cardano is way ahead of other proof of stake chains. If you are curious to know more, subscribe to their newsletter or just look at this chart right here. So check this out. Number of delegators. This is something we don't talk about a lot. We talk about the number of stake pools, the number of validators on our network, and how that sort of proves out our greater decentralization. But we don't talk about this metric as much, the actual number of delegators, which in Cardano is 118. No, what is this? It's 1.182 million. Is that right? Yep. 1,182,047 compared to Polkadot with only a little over 33,000 and Avalanche with a little over 23,000. This is a gigantic delta between Cardano and Polkadot and Avalanche. We have way more delegators. We're way more decentralized. I mean, 33,000 is not a number to scoff at. Same with 23,000, but it's not the same as having almost 1.2 million. We've got a new project in town. It's called Chainlobby. They say they are empowering Web3 communities, a platform dedicated to sharing, learning, and connecting, focused on Cardano for the minimum viable product. And they've only got 1,300 followers, 1,352 followers right now. So what is Chainlobby? It looks like Chainlobby is going to be a social media platform for blockchain communities with things like wallet sign-in. You can see in this demo video they just dropped, they actually show themselves signing in via wallet, verified NFT avatars from your wallet. They show you here how you're setting up your profile, and you can just pick an NFT from your wallet to be your avatar. You can follow your favorite communities, and they show a little footage of a feed, and you could just sort of follow the projects that you're interested in and the personalities you're interested in Cardano. It's super interesting to me. Obviously, this is like a very ambitious project because we have some tech giants running the current social media platforms. Very hard to pry users away, but this is crypto. So maybe crypto is the one place where this kind of thing could happen. Finally, Reach Metaverse has a brand new website at app.reachcloud.org. And you can see there's some new virtual spaces in here. You might have seen some of these spaces, at least two of them, I think, in a recent video put out by Jay Crypto. We've got the Pacer area, which is like sort of a beautiful, rolling hills area with a horse. I think we saw J Crypto actually riding this horse over here. And then you've got sort of like looks like kind of a Harry Potter realm with some sorcery special effects going on. So if you're interested in Reach Metaverse, now would probably be a great time to come over here and explore some of these new virtual worlds. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're starting out a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.